What's up, guys? It's Solo back with a video here on the second channel, Solo 2.0. Now today we're going to be predicting the entire NFL 2023-2024 season, predicting every single game. As you guys can see on my screen right here, we have every single game starting with week 1. If I press next up here, we'll go to week 2, week 3, and all I have to do is just pick who I want to win each game. It'll figure out the records on the left and the right side, and then by the end of the video we will have the playoff matchup set, and I will see who I have winning it all this year. I do want to say real quick, I am an expert when it comes to this stuff. I remember last year when it came to March Madness, I was going kind of viral on TikTok for my expert predictions, and people just kind of trust me when it comes to this type of stuff. So if you guys are new and if you guys want to see more videos like this, and drop a like. But without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so as I go through this video, you guys will see the records update on the left and the right side of the screen. This is what I have happening in week 1, and obviously when I'm recording this video, it's August 4th, so you'll probably see this like August 6th or something. A lot of stuff can change, but in week 1, I don't have anything too crazy happening. We have the first game of the season right here in the middle, Chiefs beating the Lions. The Lions, I think, are going to be pretty good this year, but Chiefs at home off the Super Bowl win. I mean, the Super Bowl doesn't really have to do much to do with it, but I'm just saying they're a really good team. And when we look over at the left, the AFC matchups, a lot of people have the Jaguars here. I think the Jaguars are gonna have a great year. I'll probably have them making the playoffs, but I don't know. Some of these games are gonna have upsets. Like, you just can't pick the favorite in every single game. Like, if you guys watch football, there's gonna be upsets, so I have to sprinkle in some of those. But yeah, Jaguars, I kind of wanted to pick them there, but it's a divisional game. Colts at home. We're not really sure what's gonna happen with Jonathan Taylor still, but I just did decide to go with the Colts. And then down here, another interesting one. Actually, there's two. I have the Chargers over the Dolphins in week 1, and then Jets over the Bills. Also, the teams in the right column here, so Colts, Browns, Ravens, all these teams, those are the teams that are at home. So that is how you can tell, who is home and away. And then other than that, I mean, it's a pretty normal week 1. I also have the Giants at home beating the Cowboys in week 1. Okay, so week 2 has concluded, and again, nothing too crazy happening here. We do have the Jaguars beating the Chiefs right here. This little red icon means they're coming off a mini bye. So I guess because they played on Thursday night the week prior, they had 10 days off in between. So that's how you could tell if someone has a mini bye or if someone has a bye. There should be an icon there. Also, the Lions have that icon as well. But yeah, I have the Jaguars at home beating the Chiefs here in week 2. Like, some of these top teams like the Chiefs, maybe you think the Bills are a top team, maybe the Eagles, I'm not going to have them going, 17-0. Like, they're going to lose some games. I mean, there's a chance they don't, but I'm going to sprinkle in some losses from time to time. I have the Bengals beating the Ravens. You guys can see all the games, pause them from week to week if you want, but we got to get through these regular season weeks so that we can eventually get to the playoffs, which is what really matters. Week 3 is over, and something that's interesting to note over here, if you look at the divisions, the only winless team remaining through 3 weeks is the Houston Texans. Now, I feel like there might be one or two other teams at this point in time that are 0-3, but just how I decided to pick the games, there's only one winless team. I didn't mean to do that, but that's just how it turned out. Are there any undefeated teams? No. So that, again, that's probably not going to happen either. But by the playoffs, each team should have about how many wins they have. Maybe I get, a few weeks wrong, but the win total should be about what they, what I think they're going to have. Week 4 is done, and we have some interesting matchups in week 4. Like, week 4 is going to be a pretty good week because look, we got Bills, Dolphins. That's going to be a good game. I have the Bills winning that one. Then I have down here Chargers, Raiders. That one's probably going to be solid. Chiefs over the Jets. I don't know if that's Sunday night football. Yeah, that's Sunday night football, October 1st. So that's going to be a good game. The Jets could win that, but I had the Chiefs going in to New York and winning that. And then we have a international United Kingdom game. Somehow the Jaguars literally draw the EU games every single year. I have them beating the Falcons because that's basically their second home. Like, you just got to expect the Jaguars to win out there. Then I have the Rams actually winning on the road in Indy. A few other interesting matchups, but if we keep looking, yeah, there's nothing too interesting. Looking at the divisional leaders right now, though, in the AFC, we have the Steelers and Browns at 3-1. Next division, we have the Jaguars at 3-1. Bills are in first at 3-1. Jets are also in the playoff picture now at 2-2. Chargers 3-1 and Chiefs 3-1. And then over in the NFC, we have the Rams and Niners at 3-1 to start the year. Lions are 3-1. Eagles, Cowboys also 3-1. And the Saints are 3-1. Panthers in the playoff picture at 2-2 to start things off. This is what I decided to go with for week 5. It's also interesting because there's another UK game and the Jaguars are still here. So if we go back to last week, you guys see they were in UK. So I don't know what's going on there. Do they have another game the next week there too? No. Okay, so this is Ravens Titans, but where are they? Okay, they might have a bye. Oh no, they're right here versus the Colts, but they have back-to-back weeks in Europe. So I don't think we've ever seen that before. That's interesting. So I'm giving them the win against the Bills. They have the Bills as quote unquote home, but bro, Jaguars are going to be situated. They're going to be used to the, EU, whatever. There's going to be jet lag, whatever. It's their second home. I'm gonna give them back-to-back wins in Europe. And then we have a divisional game here, Steelers, Ravens. A lot of the divisional games, the home team usually wins, or if they don't, I don't know, they end up usually splitting, especially if it's two good teams. They split the series, or whatever you want to call it, 1-1 by the end of the year. So, next time they play, I'll probably have the Ravens winning this matchup. But nothing too crazy going on here. We have the Eagles winning in LA. What is this? Sunday, 4 p.m. game. And then we have the Vikings beating the Chiefs at home. And let's go into week 6. Week 6 is over, and some interesting things to note. We have two teams in the league that are 5-1, one in each conference. We got the Jaguars out in the AFC and the 49ers out in the NFC. These are going to be two very strong teams that I like. And I also feel like, let's look at the Jaguars schedule here. Colts, Chiefs. Yeah, see, that's a tough game, but Colts, Texans, Falcons. Bills is a tough game too, but they have the Colts again. So they get Bills and Chiefs, but other than that, like, they got kind of an easy start to the season. And then if we look at the 49ers, they had the Steelers, who had them beating them in Pittsburgh, which I don't know what's going to happen there. I'm a Steelers fan, so I wanted to pick the Steelers there, but who knows? They play the Rams, the Giants, the Cardinals, the Cowboys, and the Browns. So honestly, that schedule is not the easiest, but I do have them 5-1. Another team to look at is the Commanders. They are now 6th in the NFC, and this is a team that I like a lot this year. Like, I'm not saying like I have them as a lock for the playoffs or nothing like that, because they're probably not making the playoffs. But I think when people think about the Commanders, they're like, oh, that's a team, they'll get like 4 wins, 5 wins. Nah, like, I think they could get 7, 8 wins. I think they're a little bit better than people think. I think Sam Howell is gonna have a solid year. I'm not saying he's gonna be a Pro Bowler, but I think he's gonna exceed expectations. This is what I'm going with for week 7. Not the best matchups this week. It's honestly a mid-week, but things to note: I have the Chiefs at home beating the Chargers. That's gonna be one of the best games of the week. And then another good one, which is Sunday Night Football. So good thing that they plan this game for that. I mean, unless there's injuries, you never know. Sometimes we get a game that looks really good, but then when it actually gets there, there's injuries and the teams are underperforming and it's not good. But this game looks pretty good. Dolphins, Eagles. I have the Dolphins going into Philly and winning, so that's a little upset right there. But other than that, we don't have the best matchups. I have the Ravens beating the Lions, but let's get into week 8. For week 8, we have a lot of AFC versus NFC matchups. If you guys didn't notice, they kind of sort the games by conference. So there's only 3 AFC versus AFC matchups, 3 NFC versus NFC matchups, but there's a lot of like AFC versus NFC, maybe potential Super Bowl matchups. We do have the New York versus New York game right here, Jets versus Giants. I have the Giants winning. But that could really go either way. I have the Bills beating the Bucks. I don't think there's anything too crazy. Down here, we have a bunch of away teams winning. I have the Bengals beating the Niners, the Bears beating the Chargers, and the Raiders beating the Lions. And then we have the Packers in Lambeau going to beat the Vikings, and the Cowboys beating the Rams. Let's go on to week 9. Week 9 is interesting. This is the first week in November, so the beginning of November, and we have a Germany game. I think this is the first Germany game in NFL history, and it's between 2 really good teams. We got the Chiefs and the Dolphins. And bro, with these games, I really feel like anything can happen. Like, it doesn't even have to be the better team winning. Like, you really don't know what's going to happen in these European games. I swear, the most random shit will happen. I'm going to go with the Dolphins here, but we got a lot of good games. Bengals and Bills. I'm going with the Bengals at home, and also Steelers beating the Titans. But Jets Chargers is going to be a really good game. Monday Night Football, the Jets winning that one. Moving on, Rams going into Lambeau, getting a win and securing the 2nd seed in the NFC at 6-3. But how long is that going to last? You know what I mean? Like, are they going to be able to hold on to that? We're going to have to see. If I think they're going to win the rest of the weeks or whatever weeks happen, I'll give them the win. I'm not going to, see that they're a 2 seed and be like, oh, they deserve some losses now. If they deserve it, I'm going to give them the win. So we'll see if they hold on to that. And then we have the Eagles beating the Cowboys at home on, that's not a Sunday Night Football game, Sunday at 4 p.m. game. So let's go on to week 10. Week 10 was an interesting one. We have a lot of different divisional games, and we have another Germany game. So like, is there going to be an EU game almost every week of the season? Like, let's see. Nope. Looks like we don't have anything week 11 or week 12. Okay, so maybe there's only like 4. All right, we'll probably see some more later. But to get past that point, we have the Niners going into Jacksonville on Sunday 1 p.m. in the middle of November and beating them. And to look at the Jaguars real quick, something I want to note is because we had them starting off really hot. I think they were 5-1, but now they've lost 3 straight to the Saints, to the Steelers, and to the 49ers, and they also had a bye in there. So Jaguars on a little 3-game losing streak. Looking at the standings though, Steelers are at 7-2. You guys know I'm a Steelers fan. I'm gonna try to not be as biased as I can, but you know, I really feel like this is how the schedule could start. You know, they'll probably lose one of these games from weeks 8 to 10. Like they might lose to the Jaguars here. But I don't know. I think the Steelers have a pretty easy schedule compared to some other teams. And this is what I have happening in week 10. I don't think there's anything too crazy. Lions Chargers should be a pretty good game. I got the Lions going into LA and beating the Chargers. Week 11 is a good one because we have possibly one of the best matchups of the season. Of course, if everyone's healthy. Monday Night Football, Chiefs versus Eagles in Kansas City, the Super Bowl rematch. And this is going to have a lot on the line in this game. And, you know, I'm just going to say the Eagles go in to KC and win it. I mean, both teams are going to care about this game a lot, but the Eagles will probably care a little bit more after their Super Bowl loss. And this is not to say that if this matchup happened again in the playoffs, this would be the result, but regular season, I think the Eagles will care. I mean, obviously both teams will, but I'm giving it to the Eagles. If it was the playoffs, I might do something differently here, but it's not. So that's all that matters. In week 12, we have a lot of different divisional matchups. So one that I want to point out is Chiefs Raiders. This game right here might have a point total of like 80 combined, bro. I swear this game is always a shootout. The Raiders have a very good chance of winning this game because they always play the Chiefs very close. So that's going to be something to look out for. But I do have KC going in, getting a much needed win in LA or Las Vegas, against the Raiders here to put them at 7-4. Because if they lose this game, they're 6-5. Like, this is a very important game versus a divisional opponent, a much, you know, beatable opponent too in the Raiders. So I think they can go in there and do it. Updated standings though, Bengals now first in the North, out in the AFC. We also have the Steelers in the playoff picture, Ravens, Bills, Jets. You guys can see the rest of this. Eagles are first in the NFC currently. And anything interesting? Rams are in third. Panthers winning the division with the 4 seed right now. Week 13 is somewhat of a boring week. Not too much going on here, but you guys can pause the video to look at all of the matchups that I have. We do have 49ers Eagles on a Sunday night, Sunday 4 p.m. game, December 3rd. I have the Eagles at home winning that matchup. Week 14 actually has some pretty solid matchups. I'm starting off with a little upset potentially. The Patriots going into Pittsburgh on Thursday Night Football and beating the Steelers. Steelers at 8-5, so still, you know, doing pretty good on the season. We have the Browns beating the Jaguars at home, which, well, home for the Browns. I don't know if I said that correctly, but that game should be pretty solid. What else we got here? Chiefs versus Bills. I have the Bills coming off a bye, so they have an extra week to prepare, going into KC and getting a win, which will put them at the 2 seed at 9-4. We have another divisional game here, and then Dolphins beating the Titans. Nothing too crazy. Another game to look at here is going to be Eagles versus Cowboys. I have the Cowboys beating the Eagles in Dallas. Week 15 is a decent one, not the craziest of matchups, but we only have about 3 more weeks to go, so this is pretty much it. Like, there are a few teams on the outside looking at, like the Ravens and the Browns at the 9 and 10 seed around the AFC, the Dolphins at the 8 seed. Even, you know, Broncos and Raiders, they probably won't make it in. Same with any of the teams below the Jaguars. You know, the Jaguars are going to take that division, at least in my little projection here. Out in the NFC, though, Giants, Commanders maybe can make a little push at the end there. Seahawks on the outside looking in. And then also this division, what is this? The NFC North is kind of a toss-up. The Packers are pretty much out of it at this point, but Lions, Bears, and Vikings all with the chance to win the division. Lions currently winning with an 8-6 record. Week 16 actually has some pretty solid matchups. We have Steelers versus Bengals. This should be a pretty close game. This is a Saturday game. You know, a lot of you guys might just pick the Bengals, but the Steelers are home for this one. I believe earlier in the season, I gave the Bengals the win when they matched up. Like I said, with these divisional games, especially if it's 2 good teams, I like to have them going 1-1, especially in the AFC North, because that's usually what happens. Then we have Chargers at home beating the Bills. Chiefs versus Raiders, another one, which should be a shootout. I talked about it a few weeks ago. This whole, you know, when they verse each other both times, should be very good games. Raiders always play the Chiefs close. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, the Chiefs are just going to steamroll them. Nah, it's always pretty close. Other than that, though, Dolphins in Miami beating the Cowboys. Niners in San Fran beating the Ravens. Rams are staying somewhat hot at 9-6 here with a win over the Saints. We have the Packers going into Carolina and getting a win. Vikings in a big divisional game beating the Lions here in week 16, and we have I think 2 more weeks left. So it's crunch time for some of these teams. We'll see what I have happening. Quick update with, I believe, 1 week to go. We have the Chiefs now taking over the 1 seed in the AFC. Bengals at the 2 spot. Everything else is pretty much as you'd expect. The Ravens still looking in from the outside. Browns also not going to be making the playoffs here, but Ravens, I guess, have a chance here in the last week. Same with the Dolphins. So Ravens and Dolphins, those are 2 teams that we're gonna have to see what happens here in the last week. Now over in the NFC, the Lions at 8-8 fell out of the playoff picture. The Bears took over the division with a win here over the Falcons, and the Lions lost to the Cowboys and Dallas. So Lions, can they get into the playoffs? Same with the Seahawks. Will the Seahawks be able to get in? Are the Seahawks playing the Rams like week? That's going to be very interesting. I'm not sure. Giants also with a chance. There's a lot of things that could change up in the NFC here in the last week. The regular season is complete. Some very good teams unfortunately missed the playoffs. The Ravens beating the Steelers in week 18, get into the playoffs, knocking out, who did they knock out? Was it the Chargers? Chargers, 9-8 season, barely missed out on the playoffs. Just in the AFC, bro, there's too many good teams. Like the Dolphins, I have them missing at 9-8 as well. Maybe you think the Titans can make it. Maybe the Patriots, if you're a Patriots fan. The Browns too, that's another solid team. Even the Broncos. There's a lot of good teams in the AFC. All of them cannot make it. Looking over at the NFC, Giants just missing the playoffs. Honestly, they're a team that I'm pretty high on. They went 9-8, and I think that, they can probably make the playoffs. So that's a tough one for me because I did want to see them in the playoffs. Seahawks also at 9-8, just missing out in the playoffs. Vikings 8-9, also missing the playoffs, and the Panthers at 8-9. Barely missing the playoffs. Now it's time for the playoffs, and if you guys are still watching this video, comment loyal. Just go down to the comments, comment loyal. I want to see who's still watching or who made it to this point. But we got the AFC. The Chiefs, of course, got the bye. Out in the NFC, the Eagles got the bye. But let's start off with the AFC. We have the 4-5 matchup. Jaguars taking on the Jets in Jacksonville. This is going to be a really good matchup. A matchup between 2 pretty even teams. Now, I do think home field advantage will, factor in here in a lot of these matchups. And in this one, the Jaguars were just in the playoffs. They got the experience. Jets just got Aaron Rodgers. Don't have much playoff experience in years past. I think that's going to come into play. Although Rodgers obviously has playoff experience. It's not what I'm saying, but they're a pretty young team. And I don't know. I like the Jaguars a lot. I like them a little bit more than the Jets. If the Jets get, a different matchup, maybe if they draw, say, my Steelers, or maybe if they draw the Ravens, I could have them winning. But this matchup here, I don't really like it for the Jets, so I'm going with the Jaguars. Next up, Bills versus Steelers, 3 versus 6 matchup in Buffalo. And I don't know. See, I'm very high on the Steelers, obviously. I think we have probably a top 3 defense in the league. I think George Pickens is going to really make a name for himself this year. You guys will see. And Kenny Pickett, I think, also takes a jump forward. We also improved the offensive line a lot. Najee's going to have a solid year. But let's be honest, I'm not going to be biased. Of course, if this matchup happens, I'm going to be rooting for the Steelers. And probably by this point in the season, I'll be like, yeah, I got the Steelers winning this. Like, we have a top defense. I fully believe in us. Like, I will believe in the Steelers. But for the sake of this video, we're not going to be biased. The Bills are probably the better team, especially right now. So we will give the Bills the win there. Now we have a little divisional playoff game. Bengals versus Ravens. And something you guys probably don't know, but I'm very high on Lamar Jackson. I think he is a top probably 4 quarterback in the league. I'll put like Mahomes, Burrow, and possibly Josh Allen ahead of him. Although I think Josh Allen is a little bit overrated. He's still an elite quarterback, but I think he's slightly overrated. I'll go with the Bengals just because, they were just there. They have the playoff experience. Of course, the Ravens have been in the playoffs a lot in years past, and I could easily see them winning this game. But we're gonna play it safe. We're gonna go with Joe Burrow and the Bengals to go on a little playoff run here, beating the Ravens. Now we have the NFC, and I don't like how this broke down. Like, I don't like these matchups, bro, because some of the teams that I like a lot just drew the worst matchups. And then also, like, I don't know, bro. This is just weird. This is weird. We do have the first game, Saints versus Cowboys, and Saints only got into the playoffs because they won the division. They did go 9-8. Cowboys, though, with a better record, but this game will be played in New Orleans. So this is a team now with Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara. We thought he might be out 6 games, maybe potentially the whole year, but he's only spent 3 games, so that's huge. They have Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, a solid defense too. This is a little sleeper team for this season. I like the Cowboys a lot, though, and the Cowboys always prove me wrong. I'm always way too high on them. I always pick them to go farther than I should, but I'm doing it again. I'm going to go Cowboys over Saints, but the Saints, like, they're a little sleeper, interesting team here for this season. Next up, we got the Bears, the 3 seed, because they won their division at 10-7, up against the LA Rams with the 6 seed, 9-8. 2 teams that could easily miss the playoffs because the Bears, they might have to win their division again. You know, we see here the Bears and the Lions both got in from the division, but that might be a division. I mean, maybe we see a wild card team from there. Maybe we do. I mean, the Vikings also have a chance. Maybe the Packers if Jordan Love has a great year. But this is a team that I did not expect to have the 3 seed coming into it. But we have the Bears with the 3 seed. And we have the Rams with the 6 seed in Chicago. Stafford, Kupp, Fields, DJ Moore. This is just a weird game that I don't think is going to happen. Like, there's no way we get to the playoffs and we see Bears Rams, but I will give the Bears the win here in just sort of just a weird game. Yeah, we'll give the Bears the win, and I did not think that I would have that happening. But next up, we have the Lions and the Niners, and this is where it gets tough because the Lions are a team that I'm very high on. Like, bro, people sleep on them. Like, I was talking to some people, they're like, bro, I don't get the Lions hype. Like, you must have not watched last year. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a top receiver in the league. He's gonna go off. Jared Goff too. He's underrated. Like, this is just a team that I think has all around underrated players, whether it's on defense, which I don't love their defense that much, but their offense can put up 30 in any game. Like, they got Jahmyr Gibbs, who's, you know, probably gonna have a solid year, but David Montgomery too, don't sleep on him. He's gonna be a little, you know, sleeper, if you want to say that. He's gonna be solid this year. But I do have to go with the Niners. I think the Niners are possibly the most skilled team in the league. If they had a solid, really good quarterback, I mean, they would be the best team in the league. Probably really not close, but they do have Brock Purdy, potentially Trey Lance at this point in time, but I will have to go with the Niners in that one. Now we have the divisional round. 4 teams remain from each conference. Let's start off with the AFC. We got the 2-seeded Bengals at home facing the 3-seeded Buffalo Bills. Now, like I said, a lot of these games, I'm not trying to sound like a casual, but quarterback play matters. In a game like this where you have Joe Burrow versus Josh Allen, one of my hot takes, or I don't even know if it's a hot take anymore, but I have Joe Burrow as a better quarterback than Josh Allen, and I think this game right here will really solidify it. You know what I'm saying? If I have that player take and the Bills come in and Josh Allen beats him, that's a bad look. But I think Burrow is a better NFL. I'm not talking about fantasy. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm talking about NFL quarterback. Who would I rather have? Give me Joe Burrow. Give me the Bengals with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. You know, the Bills, they probably have a slightly better defense. This game's gonna be really good. The Bills could win it, but it's in Cincy. I like Joe Burrow. We're gonna go with the Bengals here. Now we have the Chiefs and we have the Jaguars in Kansas City. Will we have the rematch of last year? Bengals, Chiefs. No, we will not. Trevor Lawrence is here and he is underrated. If you guys don't know who Trevor Lawrence is, I mean, if you're watching this video, you probably know who he is by now because you probably got to watch football a lot to watch this video right here, but we're going to go with it. We're going to go with a hot take at this point in time. I mean, shit, if we're in January of next year, maybe this isn't a hot take, but right now, I think Jaguars over Chiefs in Kansas City, I think that's a pretty hot take. So we will set up a Bengals, Jaguars, AFC championship. Over to the NFC, we have a weird first matchup of the 49ers taking on the Bears. And the Bears, are they really supposed to be here? Let's be honest. They are in the divisional round going into San Fran. I mean, I could not imagine the spread on this game. This game's got to have a spread of like 9.5. I mean, maybe it's going to be a little bit less because if the Bears are really the 3 seed, then, you know, they probably had a really good year and the spread would probably be lower. But just thinking about this matchup right now, like, I got to go with the 49ers. They're so good defensively, offensively. Trent Williams is just a monster. Like, they have just pieces that people don't even know about. I mean, if you watch football, like, when you really look into shit, you know, but as a casual, I mean, this team has hella pieces that, you know, are just slept on. And the Bears, you know, I don't know if they're ready yet. I don't know if they'll ever be ready under Justin Fields, but I don't know how they got here, but we're going to go with the 49ers over the Bears. And then we have Eagles, 1 seed versus the Cowboys, 5 seed. Am I going to do it again? Am I going to have the Cowboys going a little too far? No, I will not. We will draw up a rematch of last year. The NFC Championship is back from 2023. 3, I guess, technically, since that's when it was played, of Eagles versus 49ers. The 49ers, of course, had massive quarterback problems in that game, and they just got blown out. I believe the score was 31-7. Now it is time for my conference championship round picks. We have the Bengals and the Jaguars out in the AFC, and in the NFC, we have the rematch, Eagles versus 49ers. I think that the Jaguars, I haven't really talked too much about them this year, but I think they're gonna have a really solid season. They have a solid defense, and of course, I talked about Trevor Lawrence before, but Etienne gonna have a solid year. Ridley has looked really good in training camp. I think Ridley's gonna play solid. They got Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram now. I like this offense. I'm gonna go with the Bengals though. Let's just cut to the chase. Man, this game would be so good, bro. A battle of Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, kind of the newer faces in the NFL, not NFL. I was gonna say AFC and I mixed them together, but NFL potential, rivalry in the AFC. That's kind of what I was about to say, and then I mixed up my words there. But we're gonna go Bengals over Jaguars in Cincy to send the Bengals to the Super Bowl. Now we have the NFC matchup. Are the Eagles going back? Last year we had Chiefs Eagles. Chiefs got knocked out in the divisional round by the Jaguars. In my little predictions here, we have Niners going into Philly. 2 of the most skilled teams in the NFL. I mean, Jesus Christ, when you really look at it, the one thing that is glaring about this matchup is the quarterback. The Niners, we're not sure if Trey Lance will be playing at this point in time, or maybe they trade for someone in some crazy scenario, but Brock Purdy should be getting the start, and as long as he's healthy, he should be the guy, and as long as he's kind of a game manager, I don't see why they can't win this game. But, man, Christian McCaffrey, you got Eli Mitchell running behind him. You got Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, an insane defense. You got Bosa, Fred Warner, of course, Trent Williams, I mentioned earlier on the offensive line. And then for the Eagles, just a solid defense with Darius Slay. You got AJ Brown, Devonta Smith with Jalen Hurts at quarterback. This game is just filled of skilled players. I will go ahead and have the San Francisco 49ers going into Philly and beating the Eagles to send them to the Super Bowl. Let's not spend too long in this. This video's been long enough as I predicted the entire NFL season. Some of you guys are still watching. If you guys made it this far and you haven't sub up, but we got the Super Bowl. Representing the AFC is the Cincinnati Bengals, and representing the NFC is the San Francisco 49ers. As a matter of fact, where is the Super Bowl? Where will the Super Bowl be played in 2020? Do I put 2024? 2024. It's going to be played in Las Vegas. Okay, so yeah, this doesn't really do anything for any of these teams. I mean, San Fran's going to be a little closer, so maybe they have a little home field advantage, but not really. That doesn't really matter. I'm not giving any team here really a home field advantage, little, asterisks or whatever. Like, it's an equal playing field. This game would be great. Is it time for Joey B to get his first ring? Because I think he'll get a ring or more, eventually. He's on a really good team. He's a really good player, and it'll happen, but we will be going with the 49ers as the 2024, I believe, Super Bowl champions over the Cincinnati Bengals. If you don't watch football enough, then I don't know what to tell you, but the Niners, obviously they can lose, but they have so many just studs on the, offensively, defensively, on the offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, receivers, running backs. I mean, they're literally just missing a quarterback. Say if they had a quarterback like Mahomes, or even not that magnitude, but let's say maybe like Kirk Cousins or Stafford or someone kind of in the middle tiers, bro, that team would be scary. Jesus, man, we got the Niners winning it all. This is my little playoff bracket here. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. We have Bengals versus 49ers Super Bowl. I did not be as biased as you guys may think with the Steelers. Some of you guys probably the Steelers missed the playoffs, but I do have them losing to the Bills in the wild card round. So this is my 2023-2024 NFL season predictions. Potentially I'll drop another one since we are, more than a month away from the NFL season, but these are my early predictions.